Hi everyone, delonewolf here, and welcome back for another EVE Online video. Today's video is going to be a market video from Amarr. I sort of want to try to respond to some of the requests that I've got in the comments to take a look at the gas products market. And I think it could be interesting to, just like with minerals and PI, first take a look at it within Amarr, and I'm actually planning to also have the gas products be the extra product for EVE Talk next week, so that we can see if, just like with the other raw materials, like minerals and PI, we have cheaper prices in Amarr or not. But this video is going to focus on the Amarr Trade Hub and the situation for gas products within this Trade Hub. Some of you guys have also requested that I just make this a regular part of EVE Talk. It would definitely be a good idea. Gas has become very important since the industry changes and is used in a lot more stuff than before, but it's a time issue. I really don't feel like I've got the time to put like more than an hour every single time in EVE Talk. I'm happy with the 1 hour time frame, and so perhaps, you know, someone else also mentioned what I could do is make one EVE Talk for the raw materials and then another one focusing on ships and produced items. Very good idea, but yeah, I'm definitely constrained time-wise at the moment, and so that's not for immediately. But let's get cracking here. Let's go to the market and see where we can find these gas products. So it's manufacturing and research materials, and then we find the gas cloud materials. We'll start with the fullerenes, and just to give you guys a bit of an idea why this stuff is important. So we get fullerides. I think we can, for instance, go for like a nanoribbon formula. So you need this in reactions, then you make these graphene nanoribbons, and this, for instance, is also used in like an item like this, LiDAR FTL interlink communicator, which is one of those new industry items that are used in, for instance, HEL blueprint, so carrier, super carriers, Fenrir, so that's freighters, faction items as well. Obviously, Moloch blueprint, you need some of this stuff, and so this shows you that yeah, even the fullerenes have become very, very important and part of industry for large ships. So let's get started. Here is the fullerite C28 chart. Definitely seeing increased volumes right here in September at a pretty high price. 10,000 disc for the sellers, 5,000 for the buyers. That's a huge margin. We'll take a quick look. That's 5 jumps out, so I do think we can go just for the Amarr station itself. That's a really big markup between sellers and buyers, and then the average prices at the moment. Okay, that's a bit of surprise. You can see here we got days where we're talking 8,000 disc, and here we're talking 9,000 disc, and then we get other days where we are talking about, let's go here, 5,600 disc. So apparently the buyers are able to, from time to time, snag up some of that fullerite as well. And this big margin doesn't mean that the sellers completely dictate the price. Very interesting, one of the largest spreads I think we've seen in any item. General trend, we can clearly see an increased price here in August. Also a massive, you could say speculative, but just, you know, on reading the industry changes, a massive run up in the price from 5,000 to above 7,500 disc here in April as well. A little bit of a slump, May, June, July, that was the summer slump that was clearly visible in the numbers as well. But ever since August, we are starting to picking up pace. We're seeing more volumes as well, I think, since the tax changes came in, so it's a little bit easier to trade this type of stuff. And in response, we are seeing decently high average prices. C32, very interesting as well. Look at that April run up to a 1-year high point of 25,000 disc. Quick reference points here, selling for 25, availability is not good, and again a 10,000 disc spread between sellers and buyers coming in at 15,000 disc. And if you take a look at some of those latest data points, yeah, just about a week ago they were still buying this fullerite for 13,000 on average. That means some of these buyers were grabbing a fullerite for sure. But after that, same pattern, so the April spike, then the summer slump going down to 10,000 disc. But here in August and at late September, on a big volume increase here, we're definitely moving up in price as well. C320 next, confirming the trend here. April, May jump up to 50,000 disc per unit. The slump here again, June, July, and then actually a run up late July already back above 40,000 disc, where in all likeliness we're at the moment. Yeah, 41 for the sellers, 34,000 for the buyers. And I must say here, well, no, you again have definitely got days where a little bit of extra supply must be enabling these buyers to still grab some of that fullerite C320, despite the fact that it's still 6,000 disc below 40k. It's not as big a spread as the others. There's a bit more competition for this one, but definitely very expensive as well, although we are not seeing the same volume response in September at this point. Fullerite C50 kind of confirming that trend. In fact, in August we had a run up to a 1-year high point, and even now at the tail end here, look at these volumes and that increased price on the 5-day moving average. Sellers are probably like 9,000 or something, no, 7,000 for the sellers. Almost 5,000 is for the buyers. Bit less in the spread, but yeah, again, really large spread actually if you look at it on this chart. With when the buyers dominate, that means people are dumping this stuff for less than 5,000 disc. But when, you know, no one has that impatience and it's the sellers that dictate the price, we go for 6,000-7,000 disc pretty easily. And a pretty big run up at the tail end here again in September. C540, a slow run up to April as well here. Then again, that June slump very clearly visible. Would have been an amazing buy opportunity. Can you imagine if you bought this stuff for 35,000 disc and you can now bring it to the market for 65,000 disc? Much better in margin here as well. 57k for the buyers, with again August being very expensive, some massive volume spike here early September as well, and the price shock, well, we are talking 65,000 for the buyers. That's going to be sellers, excuse me, that's going to be around here. So I would still say very expensive fullerenes at the moment. The C60 is did have a spike 1-year high point at 5,000 disc, but compared to the start of the year at 1250, we're still talking 3,350 for the sellers, almost triple the start of the year, but again a 50% decrease pretty much for buyers at 2,265. So a very big spread between these two, with again daily averages that are above and below these 5-day, 20-day moving average, meaning that it is possible to grab these fullerenes at the low price as well through these buy orders. C70, another pretty interesting one, I would say, with the September run up in price going towards 5,000 disc. Yep, sellers coming in at 5k, buyers at 3,500 disc. And let's just see here in August. Yep, in August buyers were able to purchase this for like 2,700 disc. They are being forced up here. 3,500 disc is a nice big markup compared to what was happening in August, confirming that there is more demand and that the prices for these fullerenes are going up. C20, again the April bump up to 10,000 disc on the announcement. Then summer slump, May, June, again with one spike that was easily absorbed here in June. Some more volatility, but right again, if you look at this 20-day moving average here, August we started up to 10k, and then here is September, again volumes way more robust at the tail end, and prices keep going up away from 10,000 disc, 11.5 and 14,000 almost for most sellers. 8,500 for the buyers. They're still pretty aggressive, I would say, still opening up that massive margin between sellers and buyers, giving us this very big spread on these daily averages. And then the C84 finally, maybe the only one that's moved in a slightly different way. I would say the run up in April started very early, 2,000, probably 3,000 disc here before the industry announcement. We jumped up to 6-7k pretty easily, and then since then, throughout the entire summer, we've actually been in that very same 5 to 7.5 range. 6,200 going up to 7.4 decently quickly on the sellers. Buyers, not that many of them, 5,300, decently aggressive compared to all of these other fullerenes. So very interesting story, and for me another indication that sure, June, July we suffered the summer slump. It was very visible in these numbers as well, but in August we started our recovery, and in September so far the trend on most of these is definitely up as well. Very expensive fullerenes for gas. So if you want to hunt this, I think wormhole space, low sec, null sec, there's definitely nice availability. You're getting a decent return, I think, for those activities. Make sure, of course, that you put up a sell order, that you have that patience. Then we've got the booster gas clouds, which is basically the Citroceracin category, and then the Citroceracin category. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Cito hasn't changed that much. You can see that right away from this chart. Hardly used at all, so trade volumes very sporadic, you could say, and then prices all over the place. Very difficult to get a good chart on this one. 142,000 for the sellers, 71,000 for the buyers. Again, that spread between sellers and buyers within the Amarr trade station is kind of crazy. Do we have buyers outside of Amarr here? No. So it is a small market. That does, I think, create some interesting opportunities when it comes to buying it on the cheap for players that do mine gas, but then perhaps don't have the means to use it themselves, and they may be desperate enough to dump it at really cheap prices. That's definitely a bit of a surprise. And then we go to the Amarr Citroceracin, excuse me, and this one you can clearly see on this chart, despite the fact that it's still not traded every single day, it is traded in way bigger volume since April. We got a very big spike up to above 70,000, no, actually exactly 70,000 ISK in April. So this one here we don't really see, all right, April has done something. Here the industry changes in April have clearly done something very big for the Citroceracin category, and yeah, kind of interesting here. Look at here these sell prices, these high average daily prices above 100,000 ISK late September. Sellers coming in, a couple at 60,000 ISK, but most sellers at above 100,000, and then buyers at 23,500. That's the biggest spread we've ever seen. But again, sellers are like, yeah, we are able to ask more for this price, and sometimes a buyer that's desperate enough seems to be coming in as well. And so this is crazy. Here on the day, average price below 25,000 ISK. Couple days later, average price above 100,000 ISK. So there is definitely interesting opportunities here, but the September recoveries, late August, right here on that 20-day moving average, that orange line here, very steady increase in price on average. That is clearly visible, and another sign of that recovery in activity. We're back to Azure Citroceracin. So this one does have a bit of a, not in April, but a May and a June bump. And then we're basically back in the normal range. But look at how little this is being traded. Can't really give you guys a good store in this one. It's really all going to be in the Citroceracin. And oh, Jesus, another very interesting one with an April spike up to 60,000 ISK from basically nothing down here at the start of the year before the industry changes. This stuff was valued at just a few thousand ISK. Going up to 50, 40, 50, 60,000 ISK is kind of crazy. But again, look at that summer slump, you could say. And then here in September, that renewed interest is quite massive. Sellers are at 40,000 ISK, buyers at 21,000 ISK. Crazy spread. But again, very big increase in price here happening in September. For me, again, this is tied to the industry changes, and this is showing that industrial activity is starting to pick up. I personally believe that everything that here in the first part of April that has caused this rush was like just massive production of all of these large ships, and we're starting to chew through all of these extra built ships slowly, but giving the timing that CCP has chosen for Q4 to end the scarcity period, I mean, it just gives it more credence to me, considering that we're seeing these kinds of price moves in items that are now required for industry. It's starting to pick up. That must at some point mean that it's got to become more and more viable to even invest industry time into these larger ships. The Citroceracin, again, completely different story with terrible volumes. I'm gonna take a quick look and see if we can spot what this is actually used in. So that's booster reaction formula and then neural link. Let's see if we can find out what this could be used in. Okay, stress responder. Can we see anything? So it's another formula that creates this, but yeah, oxygen, and that's it, oxygen fuel blocks. So I don't really see any like large ships or anything like that. So if we then are going to compare that to maybe the Caledonic, and here we get again that neural link thing. So I believe that, well, no, actually it's not. Oh yeah, there we go. The SR Trigger Neuralink Conduit Blueprint requires this, and this is one of those new items where you then all of a sudden find faction cruisers, faction ships, Erebus, so Titans, all of these big ships are again needed in the Citroceracin. So that's going to be our focus, I think, the one that will of course be most interesting. And look at that, Celadon Citroceracin confirming the trend again. A late April spike to 1-year high point above 75,000 disc. At the start of the year, again valued at maybe a couple thousand, yeah, 1200 disc even. Very massive increase in just value and in need of these items. You can see the volumes after the April changes have started up as well, but look at how high these spikes are going now in September, and how the price is reacting to that by just going up quite massively. Sellers above 50k. Yeah, 68,000 ISK for the sellers, 37 for the buyers. They're still trying to be quite aggressive, but honestly, if this trend in volumes and this trend in price keeps up, I personally think that those buyers will eventually be forced up to even higher prices. Golden Cito, again, look at what's been traded here in September, absolutely nothing, so that's not tied to the new industry all that well. And then Golden Citroceracin, April spike, June spike, August spike, and we're working on our September spike at the moment as well, with one seller at 65k and then sellers coming in at 100,000 ISK, triple almost the price of these buyers. So very unique market that is going to grow massively in importance. And again, I'm really curious. We'll take a look at all of this as well during Eve Talk, but what these buy prices could mean for buying an Amarr and potentially selling more quickly in the Jita market as well. Lime Cito, actually a little bit better when it comes to the volumes that it's being traded at, with high prices here in September as well. And then Lime Miko, again, very same thing. In fact, some of these average prices for just the last couple of days are 1-year high points above 75,000 ISK, outdoing the April spike, so that's quite massive as well. June, July, again, the downtrend with the summer slump, but here in September, demand for it has picked up quite nicely. Couple of sellers coming in here being aggressive, but once we chew through those, average prices do seem to be up quite substantially. Malachite Cito, summer slump, although not necessarily tied to the industry, a little bit better in the volumes. And then again, we are starting to see that run up here in September on just, I would say, increased activity. Malachite Citroceracin, the April spike has not been reached again, but we're definitely trading at a pretty high range above 50k. Yeah, 55 for one seller, 70,000 for most, 33,000 for the buyers. Vermilions, Cito, terrible volumes, not that interesting. And then Vermilion Miko. All right, that one is like a little bit under pressure at late September. But I do think that that's quite relative in the sense that sellers are at 27, buyers are at 22,000 here for the first ones. Availability is not that great, but look as well on that 20-day moving average where the run-up actually started early in August, where we were just above 12,500 ISK, and we practically tripled our price up to 33,500 ISK. So that is already a very big run up for the month of August. We're going down a little bit from that, but it's definitely possible that we'll start to move back up if everything else keeps going the same way. Viridian Citroceracin, very difficult to give you guys a good story on this one because of the terrible volumes. Again, not being traded that often every day. But then we get Viridian Citroceracin, which again has that April spike, a little bit of a slow June, July, but then since mid-August, a little bit more volatility. And then that 20-day moving average, that starts to go up quite substantially. And now we're starting to play with 50k, 60,000, whoop, that's a cable, 60,000 ISK for the sellers. And here, the first one where I am seeing those buyers, yeah, we got to go higher. 47,000 now for those buyers, where before they could probably pick it up at like 33, 34. Now they're like, yeah, we got to close that gap if we still want to buy that Citroceracin here in Amarr. So the general trend, honestly, one of the first time that we're seeing a category that really does the same thing pretty much across the board, both the fullerenes and the Citroceracins, which we see are that are needed for capital ships and super capital ships, are seeing a pretty strong recovery, or even increased in price. You could say it's not really a recovery, but they just become very expensive here in September on increased needs, increased demands, and another sign that activity is picking back up after the summer here in EVE Online. Yeah, I'm looking forward to taking a look at all of these during EVE Talk as well. But for this one, this is the gas clouds materials market in Amarr. Pretty interesting stuff. Availability is not that great. That's a little bit of a surprise. Although you do have to grab this from low sec, wormhole space, null sec, so in dangerous space. That does, of course, always make it a little bit harder to bring that to the market. But I thought that with more high sec items, we would also have more like border system, high sec systems. We would also have more border low sec and null sec systems that are, you know, easier to make that trip in, grab a little bit of gas, get back out, so that availability would be a little bit higher. But it's definitely doesn't feel high at all. It's going to be interesting to compare this one with Jita as well. And then I maybe want to end the video for those that are still around here with a quick note. So lots of you guys have been suggesting, you know, split it up, add gas to EVE Talk, but time-wise it's just a little bit of a problem. And the main reason for that is that I'm moving to a different position within the company that I've been working for I think it's 18 years at this point. And yeah, my focus has to go there, of course. I need to learn new things. I need to find my place there in that new spot. And so that's really the focus. And the channel EVE Online, it's a hobby. I absolutely enjoy it. But at the moment it has to take a backseat to my job in real life. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, I'll see you next time.